Hey guys, it's Jaden. It's The Magicians, episode 4. Alright, this is what happened. So Katie and Dean Fogg essentially drop acid after being in Magic Anonymous, which seems to be like an AA, but for all things and for magicians only. Magic Anonymous, it's Magicians Anonymous. But my point still stands. They drop acid, codenamed Archie, which I think is magical acid, and they go to some weird world called the Ethereal Realm, and they're very high, and then they follow a brown bunny, which leads them to the Emperor. The Emperor scans their minds, mainly so they could actually find the depository, which has the spell to take off the mark on all the hedge witches. Katie and Dean Fogg really are in this weird period of leadership roles, and you know, Katie still really wants to save her hedges. So the Emperor basically lets Dean Fogg stay there forever. Not let, but like forces Dean Fogg to stay there forever in exchange for the information of where the depository of the library and stuff is. On another note, Julia summons a goddess. Why? What are you doing, girl? Like, what are you doing? So, on another note, Alice, Penny, Julia are all on this whole thing to sit there and stop the harmonic convergence. Alice goes to the library to sit there and see if there's any books on it. Julia summons a goddess. Predictable. Penny has to deal with the screaming in his head, essentially, because he's basically having manic seizures. And his student who gave him the basic seizures is like, "How do I help you, Professor?" All right, there's something about you. So Alice essentially goes to the library and meets Zelda, and when they are essentially fending off the entirety of like the library's books from these people called, I wrote it down, the Visigoths. They're like raiders of the Lost Ark, or pirates or barbarians, but educated and smart and magical. And they're traversing the multiverse at this point, trying to take all things. This time, they're really after the library's book on everyone else. Zelda and Alice get trapped inside of the office, and after being trapped there and about to get killed, they move to another room, which is where all the books are. And Zelda eventually, when the Visigoths break through, she burns all the books. And yeah, that's the end of the library, it seems like. Then we have Penny, who, like I said, having magical seizures. Then we have Julia, who's making deals with goddesses about, like, I just want to be human. Girl, like, what do you want to be human for? You're a goddess. But for some reason, she, like, worships Julia because she was a human, a goddess, then a human again. She really wants to be human. Little does she know that the binder is the reason why she's human. And I'm pretty sure she strikes a deal with the binder, who's like, no, I'm not going to help you. But in order to, like, get him to do what she wants, she gives him basically, I believe, a lighter, which, whatever, that works out. However, the problem is Penny ends up having a magical seizure that puts him in a magical coma, and the goddess essentially is like, well, you have a choice. You can either save the world, because I can stop harmonic convergence, or save Penny. She saves Penny, which ends up taking away his psychicness, which basically means he can no longer travel, because it's like flying a jet with no map. It's really bad. So, sucks. Honestly, sucks. Then we have Margot, Elliot, kinda Dark King. We'll start with Elliot and Dark King. There's something going on there. My whole theory about that possibly being Q and Elliot's son from the past is kind of going out the window. Still want to know where he is, but I guess we'll never find out at this point. And Elliot joins basically the entire kingdom as they watch, the magical reality show of my Dark King life, where the Centurions and the king essentially go in a fight to sit there and go save some map makers, or the pretense of map makers, from some takers. Okay. And he does some weird magic, but he's extremely tired after it. It's like really bad. He ends up saving Margot from some takers, and it was really weird. We still don't know really what's going on with him, but his name's Sepp, so that's nice. Elliot really has a thing for him, so that's also, I guess, nice. However, Margot and a couple of the Centurions stay behind. They're looking for something, and I'm like, you're kidding me. They found a fairy under the floorboard. I thought all the fairies moved to Earth, or did they stay in Philly? I'm not entirely sure, to be honest, but I thought they all moved to Earth. But they're looking for a fairy, and she arrests the fairy, which going to be a very interesting conversation going forward, but like, why? And why are these fairies being hunted? Like, can they get a break? Like, damn, So in the end, Alice, Zelda, Penny, and Julia are standing around being like, I don't know how we're going to stop the magical convergence, harmonic convergence. Very Legend of Korra to me. And, well, Zelda's like, I do know a way. You just have to move the moon. Penny's student, who basically gave him the signal in the first place, turns out she's a chaplain. Not gonna lie, was actually very shocked by that. One, a black chaplain? Like, come on. Yes, down with this world, yes. But on the other hand, I'm like, whose daughter is she? Who? I digress. This is such a better episode. I am so happy we're finally past the grief thing. We don't have to mention Q's name like that. Like, we can just keep on going forward. Thank you. Also, next week is 2 hours long. I'm not complaining. I like this show. I genuinely enjoy it, but I have a job to go to in the morning. Y'all got me twisted. So the fairies obviously have something to do with why the Takers are there. I think the Takers are kind of like just corrupted fairies after some mess. I don't see a reason why they couldn't be. But there's obviously some weird connection between Sepp and the fairies, and I think Sepp is using the fairies to sit there and last his life, to make his life immortal. Because I think the power that he uses to sit there and like take out the Takers actually destroys his life. But finding a true fairy, essentially, he's probably gonna grind up the bones and take up the magic to sit there and extend his life. I don't know. We've seen it before. So, also, here's the thing: what is the obsession with the moon? I guess it's the whole thing about circumstances. So I guess it makes some sense. It's just, this is gonna be a very epic next week. Very excited for this because, you know, we're probably about to get some big magic. And I don't think they can do the show like they've been doing it, where they've had like a really big crisis overarching the entire series, and they have to sit there and get to it. I think they really do need to switch it up in terms of what they're going to do. And obviously, I think this crisis is a big thing, especially with harmonic convergence, stopping the apocalypse. However, I don't really think this is it. There has to be something else. I think the Dark King is going to be a bigger plot point. We just don't know what it is yet at all. So, and probably harmonic convergence has something to do with why Fillory and Earth are off in terms of time by such a big amount of years. One thing that actually excited me this week was really seeing Katie and Dean Fogg interact together, because it seems like a lot of the things that are happening this season are you're putting interesting character choices together that aren't really interacting, that don't really interact with each other. You know, I don't believe Elliot and Alice ever interacted before. We know about the interaction between like Finn and Josh and Margot and Finn, Josh, Margot. Like, we know their interactions, but that's an interesting like combination that we love to sit there and play on. You know, Alice and young Quentin, very interesting also. So this one we got Dean Fogg and Katie. And the fact that Dean Fogg chooses to be like, I'm done. Like, cut me out. Take me out. I don't want to be here no more. Okay. So my question is, are we ever going to see Dean Fogg again? Granted, he really wasn't doing much. He wasn't helping them, really. He was just, like, around. So it makes sense if this is his exit. But Katie, just so excited to see what she's doing out here. I wonder how harmonic convergence is going to affect her. Is she going to come back to the group to let them all know, like, hey, I'm still here? It is weird that her storyline takes place so far off from everyone else's, just like Margot and Elliot's. And I guess it all deals with the fact that, like, Margot and Elliot are the people who are closer to, like, their Fillory-ness. Alice probably doesn't really want to be in Fillory after the whole Neffin situation and the fact that, you know, everyone's kind of hunting her still, to some extent, I guess. Or just that experience as a whole. Julia never really got her Fillory experience, but, like, Julia's living on the goddess train, and can't trust a god. Can't trust a goddess. I don't know what she was doing. But the whole thing with Penny losing his psychic ability and losing his ability to travel, that talking about that whole epic karma situation, that hurt. That hurt so much, because Penny basically took away Julia's goddessness just so sorry. Penny took away Julia's goddess powers in order just to make her human again, and that never consulted that decision of, well, which would you rather have? But at the same time, this is kind of different because was it different? Was Julia gonna die as a goddess? Maybe it's not the same. I don't know. I don't know how Penny 23 is gonna really interact with this, because like traveling's kind of a big part of his character. Also, he's basically everybody's, plane ride, so are we about to train the new kids to be the new taxis? These are the questions I really want answered. Anyway, let me know how you feel about this episode. What was your favorite part? What do you think is going to happen going forward in the season? I really think Dark King, there's something weird about him, and I truly think he's doing something to the fairies. But who knows? Anyway, let me know. I really want to hear y'all's opinions. Like, comment, subscribe. You can follow me on my socials at the bottom. Yeah. Anyway, see y'all later. Bye.